Hello, good evening, welcome to another episode of Easy8's Online Painting Club. My name's Danny, and for the next 2 hours I'm hopefully going to be doing some painting on my miniatures along with you to keep you company. I say hopefully because these last 2 days for me, as you may have gathered by the schedule listing, that I'm very tired because the last 2 days I've been at work constantly. In fact, I haven't actually stopped since 7:30 yesterday morning. I have slept, obviously. I did go to bed. I got some hours, which was good. It has been very full on, and we finished at about 20 past 6 this evening. I was able to come home, drop a colleague off at home on the way, get home, and then there was dinner cooked for me ready. She's a good one, isn't she? Got a cup of tea, and I'm just cleaning them out with my airbrush. Just before we get started, because I'm fairly certain I'm going to need that, and I haven't cleaned it for 2 weeks. So yeah, I'm just a little bit not flustered. I am now quite relaxed, but I'm just thoroughly exhausted in a very positive way. Many of you know who've been following for a while will know that I've recently started a new job in the same industry, just a much larger responsibility. And these last couple of days were our first operational days of the year, and it has been chaos. Has enveloped me. It's been a couple of days, and I'm really proud of my team, and I'm really excited about the work that we've been doing. But I have not for such a long time been so excited to get home, have some dinner, and paint some minis with you guys. So if you are new here to Easy8, welcome to the show. I hope you find something fun and entertaining, or just somewhere nice to chill out with some guys in the live chat over here. We're not a tutorial show or anything like that. There's loads of that sort of stuff out there. I'm not that good. Some people say I am, but I don't think I'm good enough to teach you some stuff. Perhaps you'll pick up some things on the way. It is merely a place where you can come along, make some friends, chat with some old friends, and just kind of paint some stuff together. It is a club. It's a social club. It's online, uniting people all across the world, and we've got some followers. We got a few new subscribers, so I have to say welcome to you guys. I hope you enjoy your time here. If you are working on something this evening, do come and tell me all about it. I genuinely am motivated and inspired by the stuff that you do, so please do come and tell us all about those projects that you're working on this evening, or that you've been working on recently. And of course you can take some pictures of it too, so you could take those pictures and stick them up on Facebook and on Discord, because we're on Facebook, YouTube, Discord, Instagram, all of those places. So yeah, feel free to kind of mill around the social networks over there too if you want to. Links to all of our platforms are just downstairs, so go and check all of that stuff out. You might find that I'm a little bit tired in the voice. It's because I'm tired. My voice has been used a lot. I have been doing so many exhausting activities, and today I'm just coming along, just gonna bimble around with a paintbrush. That is literally my task this evening. It's just gonna have some fun and paint some colours around, maybe. We'll see what happens. Of course, if you like what we do here at Easy8, please do consider giving me a subscribe, because it really makes the community grow. I want Easy8 to be a really big name out there, and I think it's valued. I think it is valuable. I think it's niche for sure, but you might know someone out there who will benefit from a little community like this, and I beg you, bring them along and get them to hit the subscribe button as well. If you are a little bit confused sometimes as when I'm going to go live, it's mostly 7 till 9, but sometimes I do it differently, like this evening, or I do little random shows. Hit the little bell icon, because it will tell you when I'm going to go live, or when I am going live, so you'll always know. Yes. And you can like turn off the football or the rugby and tune into Easy8, because it's definitely the better thing to do. Go sports! Right, now that I've annoyed half of my my viewer base, subscribe. It would make my day. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take a sip of my freshly made tea from RoboCup. Yeah, that's right. And I will give you a chance to go and hit the thumbs up button, because that really helps me out too. So off you go. Go hit that little button. Cheers. Oh, do you know what? I'm having a caffeine withdrawal. I've barely touched it all these last couple of days, so I'm going to have a good old guzzle on this. Anyway, thanks for hitting the like button, thanks for subscribing, and thanks for coming along this evening on what is a little bit out of the ordinary. We've never started a show before at 8 o'clock before. I will be here until 10. Of course, I appreciate that that's probably a bit later for everybody. I just wanted to make sure that even while I was busy, I was still making the time where I could. And frankly, I was just looking forward to coming and sitting in the studio for a bit. I wasn't here at home last night. I was at work overnight on call during the evening. I'll tell you a little bit as we go through this evening. I'll tell you a little bit what's been going on. I have noticed that my stream is a little, not tetchy, a little glitchy. Like maybe it's struggling to kind of keep up. So if you are experiencing any issues with the video or the audio or the stream in general, let me know, because I might be able to do something about it. I don't know if I can, but I'll give it a go. We've got some people joining us in the live chat. Let's go catch up with these guys. We've got Shiv from Table of Horrors. Hi Shiv, how you doing, mate? We've got Kez. Hello Kez, hope you're doing well, pal. We got Adrian. Hi Adrian, and we've got my dad Jeff. Hi guys, hope you're doing. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all probably less tired than me. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? Adrian says work progresses on the Tiger 2. Fantastic. Photos, please. I'm going to have a good old guzzle on this, Danny 2025. Don't make it dirty. No. I was going to go to a place. I'm not gonna. Salut. Get the mind out of the gutter. Just finished painting my current batch of Battletech models. Just need some basing now. Ah, nice work. And then Crumbs has joined us. Hi Crumbs. Looks like we've got some of the regulars back in. Fantastic. So what have I been working on? Obviously I've been working on my big old Space Marine, my McFarlane Space Marine. I was doing some highlighting last week, and I was finishing up the little bit of the remaining panel lining that I had to do. I think this evening, if I remember rightly, because it's been a few days, that I got to clean up the last of that panel lining. Once that's done, I can start constructing or reconstructing the model, because I took it apart in its component parts. And when I've got that done, or just before I get that done rather, I should probably give it a varnish, a couple of layers or two. I should give it loads of protective varnishing, just to help protect it from my big sausage fingers when I'm putting it all together. So I don't kind of rub any paint off with my hands. And also, I think it's going to be quite aggressive clicking the whole thing together. So we'll see where we're at. I'm looking at some of the parts here, and I'm looking at some of the highlighting bits and how that's worked with some of the rendering that I've done. I'm calling it rendering. That was totally the wrong word. But some of the shading that I was doing with the panel lining, and I really like it. It was a bit of, not a hit and miss, it was a little firing from the hip. But I think it's come out really well, and I'd like to see your thoughts on it as well. There's a little bit more that I could do with some of the highlighting, so maybe there's something else that I could do there today as well. Starting to remember all the little things that I didn't do at the end of last week. It's been an exhausting journey these last few months, and it all culminated. All my sites from the end of November, all my sites were sited literally on these 2 days, just gone, Thursday and Friday. It's a big, big landmark. If you want to know more about that, I want to have that chat about what I was doing, then come and join me in Discord after the show. Cool. Do you know what? Let's stop fluffing around over here. Let's go to the workbench. My buttons are working again on my Stream Deck, which is nice. Didn't do anything to it. It just must have been a bit of a glitch last week. It's just nice when things work, you know? What other comments going in? Jeff says, I've got a new computer. Oh, stop it. You've been after one of those for a while. That laptop that's older than time itself. Have you ceremoniously buried it like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory? I think you should. It served you well and beyond. You owe it nothing. Or it owes you nothing, sorry. Adrian says, pictures will be put up on Discord. Work in progress. File either later tonight or early tomorrow morning. Cheers, pal. It's always nice to see what you guys are doing, because you know, if you find motivation on this channel, that's great. That's what it's all about, and the community, obviously. But I too, from behind the camera on this side, am motivated and inspired by the stuff that you do. So I love seeing all the stuff that you're working on. So please do share it with me and everybody else. Oh, excuse me. Let me just angle my lights a bit better. Is that better? Yeah, there we go. I'll do it in a minute. If I can cut that out. No, not going to be able to. Sweet. So here is the little ribbed bits that go down the side of the Space Marine man, and as you can see, they are quite well rendered. That's a better word used there, isn't it? So we've got some highlighted grey bits. It goes into mid grey, and then there's some panel lining bits in there. And I've left some of that panel lining because I was quite slap happy with it. I was really quite chucking it in there. It's encroached onto some of the surfaces right up against where these ribbed bits meet onto this plate, and it's just added a little bit of flavour to it. Do you see what I mean? as these grey ribs kind of travel into this plate, you can see that they kind of almost looks like they're travelling into shadow. Purely accidental, and it's present mostly over the whole thing. I really like that. It's really cool. I remember now last week I was supposed to be doing the highlighting on here and here, but I remember that I was really struggling with accuracy because I was really tired again last week. So perhaps I might be able to have a go at that today. Frankly though, even if I just tidy up the panel lining on some of the pieces and then start varnishing it, if I just get to reconstructing it, I can still come back to this bit and these bits because they'll still be easy to get to if you catch my drift. So yeah, nice and easy. So that's a nice piece that's done. Let me move some of my utter rubbish out of the way over here. Get some space on the table. I've also got the backpack. Quite tidy, isn't it? I am going to put some more black in here, but I'm going to do that with acrylics, and I'm going to do that at another time. Here's his helmet, looking pretty cool, pretty boss. I love that. I was going to like do some patterns or some stripes or something on his helmet just to kind of bring a bit of focus to the head here, but actually I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to do a little bit of silver on some of these pipes here. The emblem on the front of his forehead will be a nice little colour as well. But I'm hoping that the eyes, I might do a little bit of OSL on the eyes. I'm hoping they might just be the focus of colour and attention grabbing that I need on this model. So yeah, that's the helmet. I'm going to try and keep it low key without going too mental. Less is more sometimes. The two shoulder pads. This one's going to be the tricky one because I'm going to try and paint an arrow onto this. There are different markings in Space Marines, if you don't know. There are different versions of those markings as well, so add a bit of flavour or spice to it. The three different squad types of the old days in Space Marines. An arrow for tactical squads, crossed arrows for assault squads, and devastators, which is the heavy weapons teams, would have like an explosion symbol. I'm doing that with my finger like you know what that means, but it would have like explosions kind of going upwards like that. I could choose this guy to be any of them. Just because he hasn't got a sword doesn't mean he's not in an assault squad. Just because he hasn't got a heavy weapon doesn't mean he's not a part of a heavy weapons team. But I think I'm just going to keep him tactical. The reason for that, and it is a little bit cheating on my part, but it does play into the background lore a little bit, is that the single arrow is probably going to be the easiest thing to paint. I have thought about doing it freehand, but I thought that because it's going to be such a large piece and my freehand isn't that great, I'm probably going to mask and tape it off and then airbrush it on. So I'm going to plan that as a thing much later on. Yeah. Then I've got the emblem over here. I am going to do a little bit of research on the colours, but I think it's going to be a mixture of white on the feathers, steel colours on the sword, and then maybe gold on the rim around the top of the wings here. I've seen lots of pictures of different things from the Dark Angels, with books and supporting media, so that's where I might go with that. So that's the shoulder pads. Legs. He's got two of them. He stands on them, I suppose. Some Space Marines, a lot of Space Marines have campaign badges or unit markings or whatever on their legs, on their shins or on their knees. Dark Angels often have them on their knees. Specifically this one. And it's company markings on the knees. Every Space Marine chapter is often quite different. I forgot what company I was going to make them from, but I've got a full listing of all of the markings that go for whatever company on there. What I really wanted to do is explore the world of checker painting. I had a little bit of checker painting when I was doing Gazgol, the big orc, not last October, the October before, and I did it all freehand. Some of you have been talking to me about wanting to be able to do checks freehand, so when I get to this part of the project, I'm going to do that maybe as a whole evening, and I know I said that it's not a tutorial show, but hopefully some of the tricks and tips that I learned from having done Gazgol might relate into this project. The problem with this is it's one sort of big dome sort of shape, isn't it? And that might make it a little bit trickier. So I'm going to be working on with that one. Again, I'll give you plenty of warning with that. So if you wanted to kind of join me in that project and do some checker painting, maybe you haven't got a model that needs any checkers, but you can just like use a piece of plastic card, prime it up, and we can just practice doing some checker painting together if you want to. I can't remember if there's any other markings that go on this leg here. I might do something to make it look nice, but again, I don't want to go over the top. I just want to keep it, you know, simple and make it look pretty as pretty as I can. without going over the top pretty either. Just want to keep it nice and simple. Hopefully, just the scale of the model and some of the ways that I played with the colours might be enough to make it look, you know, as eye-catching as anything else. I'm really enjoying that tea. I've got 3 other pieces that I did some panel lining on, I think. One was the space pants. So I might have done some cleaning on it already. I can't remember. It's been a few days. Darren's joined us. Hello, Darren. Nice to see you again, mate. Hope you're well. I can see there's a few areas that do need a little bit of cleaning. I did a little bit on these leather pouches here too, just to kind of define some of the edges on them. And I can see that there is a little bit of cleaning that needs doing on there as well. That's fine. That's okay. Yeah, I can see some big splodges across the top here. You see those big splodges across the top on what is essentially that belt there. Yeah, that all needs tidying up. Yeah, so that one needs doing. There's not an awful lot of work in that, to be honest. Then I've got his arms. Now his arms aren't glued in position, but they are set in the position that I want him to kind of be holding the gun in. I just didn't want to glue him. I just thought, well, he's a posable figure. I kind of want to keep him that way, really. So yeah, there's a little bit of cleanup to do on here as well. I really wanted to bring out a lot of the panels, especially on the back of this arm here. He's got a couple of little boobit buttons or whatever, boop, 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 and a little screen. And I might try and do some like images, almost like an alien style tracker on there. That would look hella sick. And I might do a little bit of OSL on it as well. I'm going to try and keep that low key, but I think it would look really cool. It needs a bit of thought and a bit of planning. And at the moment, my brain's made a pie. So I'm not going to worry about that too much. But I do need to do a little bit of cleanup on there. On this one here, there is no little bee-boo bop buttons or anything like that at all. Just, again, I keep it nice and simple. Again, if I wanted to, I could do a little bit of insignia or a little bit of patination on there. Going to keep it simple. That was the whole fun of this. Darren says, bits of airbrush. So I will be doing little bits of airbrushing. This has been airbrushed so far with a bit of panel lining in there. Oh, I see. You can see my bits of airbrush. I see. Yeah. Okay, I finally caught up. Yes, just before we went live, I was just cleaning my airbrush out because I realised I hadn't done that for a while, and it had a lot of gunk in there. Probably would have operated a bit, but the needle was jammed in the gasket, so that needed some cleaning. So while I've still got it here, what I'm going to just do is I'm just going to clean up a little paint chamber in there, because it might get to a point where I want to start putting some varnish on things. Like I said, when I'm holding all these pieces and I'm kind of press fitting them together, it's going to take a lot of pressure to do that, and I'm really concerned for some pieces how easy it is going to be for them to fit together. Some of it was really hard to pull apart. I'm hoping that just by pushing them, it's going to be a little bit easier. I just don't know what to expect yet. So in that time, just the act of holding them and putting pressure on them might rub paint off, and varnish is certainly going to give me a bit of an advantage on that. And I just want to make sure that the pieces are protected. Airbrushing paint always goes on really thin, and it's really easy to knock it, damage it, touch it, whatever. And obviously, I don't want that. So varnish is always my friend. I like to varnish a lot of my models and stuff anyway. I know this isn't a War Games piece, but a lot of the things I paint are War Games pieces, so they get a lot of handling, they get a lot of use just in general, and I think it's always good to protect your War Games pieces. When you're doing display pieces or whatever, oftentimes when you're painting textures, you don't want to put varnish over the top of it, because that texture is based on its reflectiveness. Is it glossy or not, basically? So like fuel stains, oil stains, and things like that will have quite a lot of reflection on them against the matte background, perhaps wherever that oil stain might be. So you need that change in reflectiveness. Shall we say reflectivity? Don't know if it's a word, but it's about how confident you go in with it. So depending on how is reflectivity, you might not want to spray a varnish all over the top. If you're like doing matte varnish like I often do, then you're just going to eliminate any of the sheen, very specifically formulated sheens that some of those weathering agents and textures might have. So just some food for thought, really, about how we protect our models, and is it worth it? If it's a display piece, does it need to be varnished at all? yeah, so some questions to ask yourself when you think about it. If you're a war gamer, varnish everything, because you're going to be picking it up, handling it, storing it, moving it. Other people are going to come over and want to have a little look. So some stuff to consider, right? Darren says, I clicked the thumbs up in case Steve is floating around. Yeah, yeah, he's quite militant about that now, isn't he? Do you know what though? It gets me some thumbs up. So please do hit the thumbs up button if you haven't already. Please do consider. I'll put my mouth back in. Please do consider subscribing. It really does change my world. Every time I like pick up my phone and I check my YouTube studio or whatever, I see an extra subscriber. It's a real dopamine hit. I really enjoy it. I love seeing every individual subscriber makes a massive difference, and I notice every single one of you at the moment. I know that I might not necessarily be able to send messages out or whatever, but to all of you, I do see those numbers individually increase. So welcome to the community, welcome to the family, and thanks for watching. Anyway, let's just construct this thing back together again and get it out of the way. I just thought I would give that a bit of a shot. I'd probably put a little bit in the nozzle there. Yeah. Lovely. Trigger back in. And then we can start taking a look at panel lining. Almost there. Little bit of rubbish coming out the nozzle end there, that is fine. All being pushed out by the needle going in there. Cleaner doing its job. Right. Do with a better clean, but it's probably okay for now. That could just be over there for now. Wonderful. Right, let's get rid of that. Danny's still tongling. Yep, man. We're over that now. Yeah. Cheers, though. I am tired. I made that up on the spot. You can tell, can't you? Right, where are we? So we're going to need some thinners. I'm going to need a spot on the old palette. Dried paint bits there. Let's get rid of that. Hey. Okie dokie. So I've got a pipette. All I'm going to do is just siphon up some thinner. Just pop that in. There we go. Always knock over my thinner, so always do my lid up. There we go. Lovely. Find myself a decent brush. I think for now I'm just going to go in with my really tiny brush. This is, I don't know if I'm getting lazy or not, but this is starting to become a bit of a workhorse for me. I tried to start using bigger mini brushes, if you understand what I'm saying, like not using super duper large brushes, but like my size 2, I use that because it can hold more paint and I can get a point on it, so it's really good for doing detail work, and you can actually do like prolonged sections, but after just a couple of brush strokes the bristles force apart and you're not able to do much detail work anymore because you haven't got that point. So I kind of started defaulting to smaller and smaller brushes again, which is something that I wanted to move away from, so that I could just get better at painting. I started coming back to this one again. So I'm gonna start with an arm, and I'm gonna do the one with a little screen on it because I think it's quite easy to see. I am. Yeah. This brush here is really good for just. The bristles are not aggressive. They're still quite soft, but they've got a lot of flick to them, so they're really good for kind of getting any little bits of settled dust off of them. And it seems to be that I've got a lot of dust in this house. Little cat hairs and stuff floating around, but also just little bits of white flecks and things like that really show up on the model. And they sit on the model for a little bit, and then they get really stubborn and sticky, and they just stay there. And this brush is really good at just flicking it clean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a piece of tissue over here, because I like to dip my paintbrush into my thinner I've just got over here. So I don't go in completely saturating, I dab a little bit off onto the tissue just there. Start in an area, looking at the fingers over here. Now it's been a week since I put this paint on, so there's a possibility that it's going to be a bit more stubborn than usual. I was just talking to Kez just the other day. Kez has also been using some like oil paints for doing panel lining and things like that. And Kez said that she'd left it on the model for not very long. It was like what, a day or two, Kez, and then has not been able to remove that paint. So this paint is being a bit more stubborn than normal, to be fair, but it is still shifting. So I don't know what it is that Kez was doing. I have experienced similar things, but it was actually through a different process. It was when I was painting Gazgul, the orc, and I was doing some weathering on him, and I was doing grimdark stuff on him, and it just didn't work. And I didn't protect the underlayers enough, which meant that I really struggled to save the model, because I was actually rubbing through oil layers and acrylic layers all the way down to base paint, and that's not what you want. This paint is definitely shifting now. Yeah, 24 hours says Kez, over 24 hours. So what I did there is I just slapped a load of thinner into that area. So I've saturated and disturbed all of that paint, and now if I'm not careful I could remove all of it. So I'm just going to run the brush down the side of that line, and I can see the paint move. And what happens is that paint is probably a little bit in the bristles of my brush, but it's going to sit there and now in like a liquid pool, and from there I can actually shift that little pool around a little bit and move it into a more optimal space, or remove it entirely. Just spat on the workbench there. I'm so sorry if anyone saw that. Totally sorry. Cool. The reason I'm using that tissue, of course, is I dip my paintbrush into the thinner. I need to dip my paintbrush into the thinner, I need that to happen. But thinners works differently than most other liquids. It doesn't want to come back out of your brush, really. You can wring it out to a certain amount, but it's not going to be the same as, you know, thin down paint or anything. So to remove any excess, dab it onto the tissue, and again, capillary action, it removes the paint. Sorry, it removes the spirit from the bristles, making it much more manageable and more controllable. So I hope, Kez, what I'm doing here is informative for you, because it does sound like you've had some problems, and I'm not entirely sure what was going on there. I remember the Gazgul thing. I think my problem with Gazgul wasn't that I'd left the paint on for too long. It certainly was a part of that, because then it forced me to be a bit more aggressive with removing the oil paint. It was actually enamel weathering products from AK that I was using on there, and you know, weathering grime, speaking grime, and I hadn't protected the base layers enough. and because I'd painted the whole model in and stuff and let it dry for a little bit, it was quite aggressive, and I had to go in quite rough with it to remove it, and I just went through the layers. I had protected it, if I remember rightly, but clearly not well enough. So as I was cleaning it, I was just ripping the base layer of paint off. And the very special relationship between oils and acrylics is that they don't interfere with each other. So you can go in and try and remove like acrylic paints with acrylic thinners, and it won't bother oil paints. And you can go in and like use odorless thinners like I am here to affect enamels and oils, and it won't affect the acrylics, which is why I thought I was able to go in a bit more aggressive. But thin paint from an airbrush not protected well enough meant that was bad times for me. And actually on Gazgul, if you want to have a look at Gazgul, he's actually on the Easy 8 Shorts on YouTube, so go and have a little look at him over there. He has got a lot of bare plastic showing through the paintwork, but it blends away with the rest of the scheme, and it actually works with the whole aesthetic. So very fortunate in that respect. I'm just looking for any little rogue spots. There's a little bit on the side of this, on this panel here, on that raised edge. I don't know if you can see, it's quite shiny on the screen, so it's quite hard to see, isn't it? But what was on the wrist bit has kind of rolled over into this area here. Just trying to clean it up, because it will stand out. If everything else has been cleaned quite well, this little bit will stand out. And where I have cleaned, I'd just like to let it dry a little bit. It'll take a little while for the spirit to completely evaporate, but you can see where it started to dry up, and it might have left a little bit of a coffee stain, a little bit of a coffee ring. If I've moved any paint and not spotted that paint, not cleaned it up, picked it up, making the situation look much worse. I realise that my camera seems to be really far back, and I'm having to lean right over my table to be in shot, which is quite unusual. I might reposition in a minute. Do a rough and raw show. I think I'm happy with that. Might come back to it and have a little look at it later on just to make sure. Tell you what, my lips are burned and frazzled from being out in the sun for so long. Being out on the lake as well, where sunlight's coming down and reflecting off the water. I don't know if you can see my face, but it looks like I'm wearing like sunburn sunglasses. Quite unusual for me to be so affected by the sunlight in such a short space of time, but we've had some beautiful weather here recently in the southwest of England, so yeah, a lot to be grateful for. Excuse me. The other arm then. Okay. So again, give him a bit of a brush down just to clean the settled dust. Over last week, since the last show, I've not been able to come in and really do anything. My partner's been working night duties this week. I've been working furiously difficult to get the end of this week done, and then I was doing an overnighter myself last night, so we had to feed the cats early and then go to work and stay there. I've got tomorrow off. Partner doesn't, which is quite hard to see where I've done any panel lining here until you get it in the right angle. You go, oh yeah, there it is, which means that when it's all put together, you'll only see it from one angle occasionally. Be like, oh, that looks awful. So I've really got to pay attention to where it is. Darren's got to go. Thanks, Darren, for coming along anyway, mate. I hope you're well. Look after yourself. Keep on painting, mate, won't you? The top side here is what's going to be on view the most. So this is the area where I really want to make it look quite nice. Also, because it's on the top side, the zenithal lighting is keyed up to be brighter on this bit here, so it's going to be easier to see as well. Okay, I think we're all good with that one too. Wow, time for the space pants. I'll start with something nice and simple, just working my way through it. Going to start with the belt buckle. Now, there's quite a lot of recesses and stuff here on the front, which I was trying to literally cram the oil paint into. So there could be a lot of mess ups. I know on the tops of these crease bits here, I just literally was just trying to force paint into it, which is why it's so messy there. Just to make sure that I got something in the crease, in the recess between these two pieces. I definitely wanted there to be a definitive line, and it was poorly achieved. So we're going to make sure that I really part that up if I can. Okay, I'm going to move over to this side here first, because it's the one without all the paraphernalia on the side, but also it's the messiest one. I'm going to have to do, I think, because that paint in there is quite thick and it's been sat there for a week, actually being quite stubborn. So I think to try and combat that, I'm just going to drop quite a bit of thinner in there. So loading up my paintbrush, I'm just dabbing it in. Trying to not agitate the paint too much. I don't want to create an issue where there's no colour in there at all. Just let it sit on there for a minute. Try and let it penetrate through, let it break in. Like a stain remover, I suppose. And then bit by bit I can agitate that. That seems to work really well. So Kez, that might be a thing for you there. Is where you've got like the oil paints being put on, sitting there for 24 hours. Mine's been sat there for a week and it was showing signs of stubbornness. Saturated the area with thinner, gently, not pushing it in on paint. Let it sit there for a minute, and then just gradually start working away at it. Now you might have a harder effect with that because, well, it's been sat there now for more than 24 hours, I assume, right? So, just try and break it down, just try and think about it. Quite hard to see now, such a small area, so dark, trying to get black paint out of there with all the reflection of the thinner liquid itself, really quite hard to see. So I'm just going to let that just evaporate for a minute, come back to that area and just check how the progress is going, and then I'm just going to move on to the other side. And I'll probably have to do the same over here too. So yeah, just a quick clean up around, and then we get into that real tough recess in there. Just going to drop a whole load of thinner in there. So just loading up my brush, and then just a quick drop just on that area. You can watch it bleed out into the recess itself, trying to saturate the area. Now if that was fresh paint, it would come straight off, so don't do this with just freshly painted bit. This is just about more stubborn paints. And then bit by bit just work my way in from the outside edge, the area I want to clean up, moving further and further in as I go, and it is working quite effectively. Lovely. Okay, that bit is still sort of drying in there, so pick up some more of this. I'm just going to do this back panel. There's not a lot going on here, just a few lines, but underneath these little cases, whatever they are, these little pouches, there is quite a bit of heavy staining. Kez says, Jeff, I got around to printing the test pieces. Come out fairly nice. We'll arrange with you soon to come and show you. Ooh, it sounds like a little project, a little collaboration going on. We'd love to see that. I've just, the corner of my eye, just read Shiv's comment. Near these heavy pouches, there is quite a bit of heavy staining. Yeah, thanks for quality checking my words. Leave me alone. Tidying up quite well, that is. I'll make sure that I'm in shot so you can see what I'm actually doing. It's all a bit bright and shiny, is it? What happens if I turn the light down a little bit? That's turning it off entirely. That works. Yeah, that's great, that is. Sorry to my dad, who's got a new computer, who I probably just blinded. That might be a bit better. It seems a bit more subtle. Bit more going on this piece here. Who knew that it was going to be the pants that were going to be the problem? So yeah, underneath here you can see there's got a notch. Saturate that in thinner. Gently working from the outside edge. That actually went quite quickly, which we've got the underside of these pouches. That's one for Shiv. Got the undersides of these pouches where a little bit that staining's gotten onto as well. I'm just going to turn it at this angle. Just stroke the underside. No, I'm not going to do it. No, I can't. I can't join in with you there, mate. I'm sorry. Tried, but I'm going to keep it clean. Brought you a chuckle though. Jeff says, weld as I. Yeah, got archive from your monitor showing the full extent of my lighting capabilities there. Just realised I didn't dust this piece down. A little flex on it in places. Okay. The first side, was it this side? had a little bit of black staining around the little skull icons there. I think I've removed most of it, so I'm going to leave that alone. So if there's any residue there, hopefully that will just kind of lend to any of the shading effects that I was trying to get in there. Now, what I was trying to do by putting the staining on these sides of the pouches, as you can see that there's like a little line kind of carved in there to make it look like it's like a flappy lid to fold over the top of that pouch. And I just wanted to get some panel lining in there just to help identify that little crease. And it's on both of them. It looks really nice. I just don't want to rely on the crease itself to provide its own shadow. So by putting some panel liner in there, it just helps present it on the final piece, right? A little bit of overspill from the green side, on the side of this pouch here. You can see that little black edges just along in here. Just checking all these little bits and pieces on the side here now. There's a lot more going on this pouch. There's a lot more creases and things kind of sculpted into it. So I don't want to take too much of the shading away on this because it might be in some of the little creases on the front. Little grenade here as well, which I'm probably going to paint a different colour. You know what, I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that. I think that is that piece cleaned up. I'm just checking across the tops of these plates here. This is where a lot of the staining is, where I went a bit crazy with it. Frankly, that looks okay. I think I'm at a point where I need to start varnishing it now, which is great. Just gonna wash the paintbrush off. It's got thinners on it. Thinners will separate in that water. But hey ho. Pop you over there, thank you. And I've still got loads of thinners left in my palette, so I'm just going to grab that with my my pipette. There we go. And I'm just going to drop that back in. Because thinners won't go much further if I do that. There we go, not wasting loads now. Lovely. Look, we've naturally fallen into this really perfect place where I get to go for a break after doing a big part of the project, which is really exciting. So, yeah. Let's talk about going for a break quickly. Some comments going in quickly. I noticed that we've got Mike's joined us. Hi Mike, nice to see you. Sorry I didn't catch you when you first came in there. How difficult are these to pull apart? Are you talking about the whole McFarlane model? If you are, varying degrees of difficulty. So some pieces were easier to pull off than others. The shoulder pads are very easy to pull off because you can actually get a certain amount of leverage on them. So you can put your thumb or your finger or even a tool straight kind of underneath the pauldron itself, and it just pops right off. As the sections get bigger, they seem to just have, you need to use more brute force on them as you go. I have been told, and some people who have them have also done it, soak them in hot water. Nothing like boiling water out of the kettle, because I think you might end up warping your parts, but maybe like very hot water that you do your dishes in, and just let them soak in there for a few minutes, and that will just supple up the rubbery plastic. It's not a plastic that we're used to as modelers, it's action figure rubber, and it's not as easy to paint. But it has a little bit of flex in it, a little bit of give, and by heating it up allows it to move better. Obviously, putting him back together again, I can't well and truly soak him. So that kind of takes that opportunity away from me. So I'm going to have to really force fit him. I'm going to try and be as gentle as I can. As gentle, yet forceful as possible. There are lots of different models, though. It's not just this Space Marine. I've got a Necron flayed one behind me. Very, very different beast. Do I even need to pull that one apart in most places? Probably not, no. So really think about the reasons that you're going to be taking him apart. Do you need to? What areas is it going to be hard to reach with a paintbrush or even an airbrush? Maybe those are the areas that you need to think about. I did mine to kind of strip him down and paint them all individually with an airbrush, and I just wanted the experience of doing it because it's fun. So fairly easy though, really, when you think about when you make your plans on what parts are going to come out. Really easy. Just some are harder than others. So there you go. Crumb says, I've got the Chaos Space Marine. Oh, I see. That's why you're asking. Probably more points than spiky bits on him, but almost identical in the terms of his structure, really. Depends on how He-Man you are. Here's Mike coming in with his probably. His might have been more difficult to pull apart. You could. Oh, there you go. You can submerge them in water, warm water. They come apart really easily. No, I'm just repeating what you've already said, aren't I? Really, at this point. I've got a paint on it already, but I'm going to start again. So yeah, that's an idea. Yeah, you absolutely could do. I've done a Sisters of Battle, an Ogrin, and a half a Space Marine because I struggled to find the perfect Alpha Legion style. Gentlemen, I'm in a bit of a quandary, says Adrian. I'm about to start painting up the road wheels and sprockets, and I am wondering, should I do them in a mixture of red, green, and Dunkelgelb? A quick Google images hit will show you some things. It's quite difficult to find colour images of things from that era just because of the time it was in. So it's hard to work out what colours are what in a black and white photo, but you can certainly see patterns in there. Some tanks have the camouflage all over the hull and turrets, etc., but the wheels are just painted the base colour. Sometimes, more rarer than that, they are painted just the hull red, but I think that was just more of a rarity in the paints that they had for camouflages. Sometimes you'll find them camouflage, sometimes you will find them all perfectly camouflaged, like they're just using the camouflage colours, so all the wheels will be just green or all just red. And sometimes you will find them with the camo pattern on them. In that instance, you'll find them often with like a wiggly line that kind of goes across the centre from like a north to south sort of direction, and then as the wheels start turning, and they might turn with a certain sort of different spin in some cases, they'll start to off-centre a little bit. So that's something you could do. What did I do with mine? I did the wiggly lines effect on mine. So yeah, did I? I'm looking now. I can't quite see him. I think I did wiggly lines. Have fun with it, you know. All are appropriate. I think it does depend on the crew. It depends on what units that they are attached to, or squadrons, etc. So yeah, have a little play with Google Images. Yeah, Jeff says, yeah, all yellow with a few in undercoat red, possibly. Yep. So again, on my one, I actually did a few wheels on one side at the front. I actually did in hull red, and I also did one of the shirts in, which is the side skirts on them. I did that in red as well to make it look like they were replacement parts after possibly receiving some damage. I didn't do any kind of physical effects of that by making like drilling big holes or anything like that. It was all purely painted. I was just having some fun. It was my first really big model like that, and it does look quite nice if you know what it is you're looking at. Otherwise, to someone it could be quite confusing. What's this big straight edge red bit over here for? It's innuendo bingo with Dan talking about pulling off a Space Marine. I don't know what you mean. And on that note, I'm going to go for a quick break, and then I'm going to bring back a grown-up juice because I need a drink. My eye is literally closing on the stream. That's how tired I am. Anyway, I'm going to be right back. I'll see you guys in a few. Take care now.
Hello. Now you can hear me. This microphone gives me more grief than I care to admit. I'm going to move this microphone here, and I'm going to stay on my headset now. Hopefully the headset's nice and clear. Apologies once again. It seems to have not turned back on again after just kind of pausing it for a little while over the break. Anyway, as I was saying, which you couldn't have heard a minute ago, happy weekend. Cheers, everybody. I've made that deliberately strong because I want it. I'm going to be moving into some varnishing in just a minute with this urethane or polyurethane varnish. I haven't had an awful lot of luck with it, and I don't really know why that is. I think I just need to take it nice and easy with it, be gentle in its application, and not get it on too heavy or too thick. I'm going to do several layers of it. It says on the bottle it's best to leave it 24 hours between layers. It makes me think that it's a little bit more pro than the little bottles that I use, for example, here. Although, you probably should use all varnish in the same way. This just feels different. Even by the label standards, it's the same brand, it's still Vallejo. It's just... Ooh, I did a burp. Late night stuff, so sorry. This stuff just feels a little bit more professional. So, yeah. I don't know. I'm just going to varnish some stuff and just see what happens anyway. If you like what we do here and you like it when the microphone actually works, please do consider subscribing to the show. The community only grows when you do so. So if you enjoy coming along to a space to paint your miniatures along with other people live doing it at the same time to get through the big mountain of grey unpainted plastic that you might have hoarding away on the side, then this is absolutely the place for you. Maybe you know someone who would benefit from a show like this, so get them to come along and get them to subscribe as well. If you haven't already, please hit the like button. That would really make my day as well. Yeah, and then I don't know, or chip in to buy me a really nice studio microphone. It'd be really good. Thanks very much. Subscribe. Thanks, man. Cool. Yeah. Go have another drink and pour it down my front. Let's go to the bench. Danny is so tired. Oh, it's the 10 o'clock show, isn't it? Right. What I'm going to do... I am really, really tired. I'm just going to get myself some fresh kitchen roll here. And I'm going to mop up my hoodie where I've chucked most of my vodka and coke. Oh, I'm so glad that this is forever on the internet. I don't delete these videos, by the way, so if you want to, you can go back and make a gag reel on that if you want. Oh. Don't you just hate it when you tear off tissue from the roll and you're left with a little corner bit at the end? That bothers me more than stuff you study in history. I just, yeah, I don't know why, it just does. Right, cool. Where's my model? Here it is. I'm gonna start with the torso. It's always a great piece to start with because it's so big, it's so easy to hold. I could have my things in the sides like this, or I could hold this little effort on the bottom like that. And if I want to be able to put it down, it has got this big flat surface on the back there, so I can just pop him down thusly. It's all working well for me today, isn't it? It's like he has the same drinking problem from Airplane. Yes, I'm gonna go again. Here we go. It's too funny, innit? Yeah, cool. No, I'm just going to go ahead and varnish it. It doesn't need much more description than that, really, does it? I'm going to bring in a big piece of white paper. It's probably going to blind a lot of you. There we go. And it's all toned down again. Wonderful. Just a little something to protect the mat. I'm not one of those guys that likes to spray directly onto the mat in the background. I like it to last a little bit longer. Anyway, the airbrush is all cleaned. It is functioning quite well. Haven't put anything through it yet other than clean it. It seems to be moving well, and it's all pumped up in the compressor, which is wonderful. This is the Vallejo varnish that I use, Ultra Matte Polyurethane Varnish. What I mean by it just looks a bit more professional. This is the one that comes like in the little bottles like that, and it is different, right? It's got a different product code on it. This one here, 27.653. 70.520. This one comes from the Air Game set, or it's actually from it, either the brush or the airbrush version. It's both the same. You can use this in either or. So I just wonder if this is just like a cheaper starter set version, and this is more for the pros doing like dioramas and whatever. It's very hard to see where this goes on because it dries so fine. It's really hard to see where you're spraying it. So then you go a little bit thicker to kind of get a little bit of a shine from, you know, the liquid, I suppose, being put onto the miniature. And then it goes on too thick, and I think that's what causes it problems. It goes on and dries shiny. Well, it says ultra matte, so why is it doing that? It's taking me a little bit to work it out, and I think that it is because I put it on too thick. I think it needs to go on like a dusty layer and let that dry. So this might be a lengthy process, but I'm in for the long haul, so here we go. So I'm going to get my brush all primed up there. Oh, foam's in my pocket. Could just probably just put that there. There we are. Lovely. Okay, so I've got a clean empty hopper. This stuff you can use neat. I'm not going to thin it down. I don't want it to be does make me laugh. Dan is so protective of his mat, but the paint tray is horrendous. It's dried paint. It's a reference for all the colours that I use and make. It's a reminder. I tell you what, if you get me to 250 subscribers, just like the last time, I will clean that paint palette down for you, alright? I don't want to thin this varnish down because it will go on too easily. I need a little bit of viscosity so that I can see where it's going. So I'm quite happy to keep it neat at the minute, and it is thinner than the other varnishes that I use. Do need to give it a bit of a dusting. I can see some little specks all over him there, so I'm just going to go over him quickly and give him a bit of a brush down. There's a tiny white dot that stands up right on his collar up here. Can you all see that? I wonder if you can. It's been there ever since, so I'm just going to see if I can remove that with some tweezers or something spiky. I just want you to go. I don't want to scratch the paint, but I need something a little bit hefty just to... It does not want to budge. What even are you? It must be white ink from when I was using that, perhaps. A little bit out of shot there, aren't I? It's like the guy from Midwinter's Mini. He did the weight. He did this. He weighted his palette. It was over. He weighed his palette. It was over 5 kilos. That's crazy. Oh, I got it. Yeah, it looks like it was a bit of white ink. Maybe just like a little rogue splash or something. Okay, cool. At 250 subs, he will clean the paint palette with a cat. I'll bring the cats in. I'll do it all for you. What was I doing? I was cleaning it, wasn't I? Let's dust him down, please. Dusty, dusty, dusty. I really like the effect on these ribs on the side. That's gone really, really well. And I don't know if the camera does it any justice. I know my lighting is kind of all over the place at the minute. Isn't it? What's going on there? Got a lot of shadow. Not enjoying the shadow. Okay. Anyway, let's get some varnish on him. Bit of a flow test. Can always be hard to see because it comes out so fine. But I can see it flowing. So I'm just going to start. Now I could just varnish this heavily and it will leave a bit of a shine. And then I could go over with another matte varnish. I bought this one because I was running low on it, but I've got enough to give it a quick go over the top later on. So the matte varnish that I normally would use, this one here, there's only a little bit left in the bottle, but I could use this to kind of reduce any kind of glossiness. I don't think I've got enough to do the whole model thinking about it, but that is an option, is I could use this one to kind of do a lot of the workhorsing, if you like. and then get another matte varnish and get that one to reduce the shine. But that's not what I bought this varnish for. We're really dark here, aren't we? Really, really shaded. So if I bring this over here, is that helping at all? No. I do know that my camera or my monitor doesn't like shadows very much, so you probably can see more than I can. Got a lot of contrast on my monitor. Now, like I said earlier, even though I'm varnishing this and even constructing it now, I can still get to these bits that I still need to do the highlighting on. I was just struggling at the end of last week. I remember with the, even though it's not really that fine detail work, using a detailed brush, trying to get in there and do the highlights on the next piece, I was just really struggling because I was tired, and I'm more tired this week than I was last week. So I'm just gonna leave it. Until the time that I'm not tired, obviously. Now I've got tomorrow off from work, which is great. I need that. My whole team has. Go and have a drink, guys. You've earned it. Now, do I come up here and do some stuff? Actually, do you know, I think I'm just going to sit in front of the TV, read a book, and sit with the cats all day. I've worked very hard these last couple of days. I'm very proud of how hard I've worked. But I'm not 20 years old anymore, and I do need the rest. And that's how you keep your energy going, isn't it? So maybe you've got like really high paced or high energy jobs out there. If you do, look after yourselves. Don't burn yourselves out. I worked almost solidly for 48 hours, and like my partner saying, like, just be careful, because if anything happens, you know, it's on you, innit? And she's absolutely right. Look after yourself. I'm twice the age of a lot of my team, most of my team, but I have twice the energy. I just need a nap. We had a great day there, and you know what? The weather's been beautiful. My lips feel slightly burned and a bit tight because, you know, it's been in the sun all day. I've got suntan glasses on. Just been on the lake. Oh, that's crazy. Had to remove half a dead frog from the lake before kids went and kind of crashed into it with their kayaks and their paddle boards, and fun. Okay, that's a good first coat on this one here. I think I've given it a really good layer. Put that away. Go to the backpack now because it's just a nice big easy piece to use. Again, I'm going to give it a bit of a clean. Oh, I got the hiccups, the bubbles from my Coke. Oh no. I'm gonna be honest. Burping on the set, hiccuping on set, pouring drink down my front live on the stream. This isn't the evening I was wanting it to be. It's turning out to be a bit of turning out to be a bit of an ugly show, isn't it? Ugh. When in Rome. If you're new and you're just tuning in, please do subscribe, but just understand that my shows aren't normally this rubbish. More little white marks on top of that one there. Dust, when it shows up, it actually can be quite sticky and can stick to the paint or the model, and it can be a real pain in the bum to remove. So just be aware of that. If I find any lasting dust particles, motes, is that the word? A mote of dust? If I see any little bits left over at the end of painting this model, I'll just go over them with a tiny bit of black ink or something, just to hide them away, or whatever relevant colour they might be sat on. So rather than trying to remove the bit of dust that doesn't want to go away, I'll just paint it out. just noticed some heavy staining on the side of this backpack. That could do with some spirits to clean it up, but I only noticed it as I was spraying the varnish on it, so that's locked it in permanently. But fortunately it's in a place where you're not really going to pay that much attention on the side of the backpack, just here. That's frustrating, isn't it? Now I say this quite often, but just in case people, like to be reminded, or for anybody else who's watching, one of the things that I've learned with airbrushing is it's best not to kind of constantly do a single stream of air and paint flowing out. Paint does build up inside the paint chamber at that point, and then it starts to dry, and then you get a snowball effect with that. So it's always good to adopt this pulsing method. So I'm starting at the top. I'm kind of going down in motions as I'm painting from the top to the bottom, keeping it quite light, keeping it quite quick, and by actually disengaging the paint flow and the airflow, it means that when I start again, it blows out any built-up paint. So you're always getting a fresh bit of paint, or in this case varnish, coming out, and that does stop that build-up, which means that you end up with less problems. Those problems could be little dollops of paint that kind of come out or half dried, leaving ugly artifacts on your miniature, big splashes, or just generally really poor flow. And no one wants poor flow, do they? Seem to be maintaining a somewhat matte surface, which is good. Something stuck inside the air vents on this thing. Let's get some tweezers in there. I think I've got most of it. Anything's left over, again, I'm going to paint the inside of those at a later date, so I'll just paint them later. How are your projects coming on this evening? If you are painting something, do let me know. I'm genuinely interested, so please do tell me all about the stuff that you're doing. How is it progressing? Are you guys having any luck? Are you having a bit of a nightmare like I am? Are you spilling your drink all over your face? Have you got the hiccups and can't talk properly? Have you burped at potentially the whole world on the internet? Is your microphone working? If no to any of them, you're probably doing better than me. Okay. That's that piece done. Shoulder pads then, here we go. Probably should have given that a quick brush over, shouldn't I? Yeah, absolutely. Big bits of dust on that. Important on this case here to get the inside edges of the shoulder pads done and the bottom edges there as well. But I don't really care about the insides. There's not even really any, well, there is some paint in there, but I don't care about it. Give that a bit of air to help that dry. Lovely. That's the second one. There it is. Again, I'm going to give that a dust down. Another thing that I've got to do as well is actually remove these sticks from it. I have a habit of super gluing sticks to the inside of my models. I did put blue tack over them, but these are such large pieces, the blue tack wasn't strong enough to hold it in there. So I super glued it and then for some reason put blue tack over the tops of that. So at some point I'm going to have to remove all of that and then remove the sticks. The sticks are going to break off, that's obvious, and then I'm going to be left with a big super glued bit of stick in there. So there's going to be some drilling as well to kind of remove all of that, hide it, hopefully without damaging anything else. Yeah, I was quite brutal with it for an unknown reason. Now, I know I'm getting to the stage where I'm looking to reconstruct it. That doesn't mean that we're actually near completion. That just means I've done all the base painting colours. So, yeah, there's still a whole pile of work to do yet. And work will be calming down a little bit now for me, so I'll be able to put a bit more focus into this. I've even, with the hours I've done today, just on today, I've actually accrued some time off, so there's some time for me to look at this. I want to go spend some time with some friends as well. Some friends from my old job we haven't seen for a little bit. I'd like to arrange a little lunchtime or something. So I've got some things to think about, but I do have more time now to start planning in some studio days, perhaps. Dust it, Danny, dust it. There we go. So I'd love to come in and do a little bit more work in here as well. A lot of that work isn't going to be on this model itself. It's because if you remember a little while ago when I was painting the little Raven mech, I said I had 3 projects on the go at the same time. At the moment, I now only have 2. Kind of 3. So I finished the Raven, so that's project number 1 completed, isn't it? This is project number 2, and at the same time as painting this item, so at the same time as painting the Raven battle mech, put your words in, Danny, I was preparing this one and getting a lot of the primer based stuff done and the base colours painted and things. And then while I'm painting this one, I'm also preparing my Ed 209 3D printed resin model. Beautiful model, but there are some ill-fitting parts in it, and the prep work that I'm doing on that is a lot of drill, sanding, cutting and filing and things like that, just to make some of the pieces, and it is only a couple, but very crucial parts to fit together better, which means that the overall appearance would just be absolutely spot on rather than questionable, basically. The other project, the sort of project, is only in the planning stages at the moment. It is Flames of War. Stafford, who normally joins us in the live chat, is not here this week. It is our rules carrier conveyor for Flames of War. We've been looking at building our own little armies, etc. A few of us in my little friends group, and I've built myself a little British force, D-Day landing force that is based around fireflies, etc. So kind of compiling that. I've got a lot of the models for it, but I don't like the chassis types of the Shermans that I'm using. So basically I'm putting a little list together. I've got 2 units of 75mm Shermans, each with a single firefly, so that's 3 Shermans and 1 firefly. I've got 2 of those units, and I've got a unit of fireflies, and I think that there might even be a command unit in it, and 3 honey tanks. So yeah, that's cool. Planning that before I paint it, that's a little bit later down the line. Leg number 1, like a giant lolly, needs a bit of dusting off, so here we go. Have you guys got like a list of projects kind of lined up, or are you just doing one at a time, and then when you get to them, you're like, I'll get the finished one, you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to do this one now? Or have you literally got like a production line where they're just kind of lined up in an order, they're coming to you, you're going to do it this way? Just interesting how different people paint and process and things. Very aggressive bits of dust down here. I'm just trying to gently use my fingernail just to kind of dig them out of the paint a little bit. I don't think that they've been painted into it. They just have landed on it, as dust likes to wander aimlessly around in the atmosphere, doesn't it? Land on these little things, and then they just decide to take up residence on there. And this one's being a right little squatter. Okay, cool. I'm not going to argue with it. Sometimes they just pop right off with the touch of your fingernail. Others, nope. Shiv says, and I'm going to try and say this right, Incandius Blood Angels Contemptor tonight. That's a type of dreadnought, I believe. That's exciting. And I think Incandius sounds right, doesn't it? Because they're all about like incandescent materials. Kez says, painting my Battletech one faction one faction at a time. Okay, cool. But do you have like all your other factions kind of planned in? Are you sort of like lining them all up and sort of listing it all out, or you're literally like, taking these out of the box, forgetting about everything else? I just want to kind of go in with these now. Too many things. For me, I like to have lots of little projects on the go because it just helps my ADHD head. If I've got one thing, I'm too excited about the next thing, so I kind of got to have this other world going on at the same time. Got a little bit of bubbling in the hopper there, which means there might be a tiny blockage, and that might be that I've got varnish drying on the needle. So after this piece here, I'm going to just have a quick inspection. Jeff says, my production line has got a bit out of hand of late. I must learn to say no. Yeah. Do you know what though? People pleasers, right? People pleasers. I certainly am one. So it's just so hard to say no sometimes, isn't it? Actually looks like a bristle, or I'm going to say it, nose hair, but got rid of it. It's all good. Yeah, all planned out. Okay, that's interesting. So by the time you get to the next project, you just instantly know what you're doing. Go straight in it. I like that. That's okay. That's cool. Clearing everything that is sat on or around my desk before going into the boxes of unpainted and unassembled models, says Adrian. Yeah, but do you know what? Adrian is an astute practitioner of the morals behind Easy 8. The whole point of Easy 8 is to get your stuff painted before you go and buy new stuff. But let's face it, we all go and buy new stuff. So well done to Adrian for keeping to the credo. Oh, bash the light. Just going to give that some air. Put quite a bit of varnish on that. It's quite a large piece though. Nice. Now this bit here is going to be a little bit trickier because I broke the stick twice, I think, with this one. So what I'll do is I'm going to cut that little sticky bit off at the bottom down there. I'm going to use my broken nippers and I'm just going to cut him off here. Yeah, lovely. That means now I can put it down on its shoe like that. So I can paint one piece at a time. And then later on I'll drill that out so it's a bit easier. Do you know what? I'm not even going to bother doing that. I've been doing it this way so I can hold on to the stakes and hold them like I have been. But eventually it's going to go back together again anyway. So yeah, whatever. At this point, who cares, right? Crumbs Studio says, I'm very freeform in my painting schedules. I literally just pick up whatever you feel like going for, like a free love scenario on the old painting. Love that. That's cool. It sounds liberating, but I just can't practice that preach. Again, another little aggressive white dot down here. They're starting to appear. And I don't know what from. Got you. It's gone. Okay. So, I'm going to hold it like this first of all. Spray the top bit. Can put him down to dry. Can come back in. Hold the now varnish bit. Spray the bottom. Put him down on his shoe. Mike Turner says, I'm prepping a C130 model my dad bought way back in '83, but never got around to finishing or even starting because he wanted to motorize the engines and stuff. So here I am a few years later, finishing what he started. That's really nice. It's kind of beautiful. I would really like to see some update photos regularly on that one, so stick them up on Facebook if you're inclined. It'll be really good to see that project go along. Adrian says, and if I manage to clear everything this year, I have saved my model present to myself. It is a 135 model of the Schwer Gustav railway gun. The barrel is 1.3 meters long. Holy moly! What an incredible model that's going to be. Seen a few things like that at the Tank Museum, but it'd be great to see it within our little community. So, yeah, that's awesome. How far have you got to go before you get to the Gustav then? That sounds quite exciting. Have you got quite a bit lined up on the workbench, or are you quite near to that? Got a bit of a build-up in there. You can hear it now. Still getting some good coverage though, so mustn't grumble. Get a bit of spatter coming out. I think there's a very, very tiny blockage, and I bet it is varnish drying in the nozzle. Okay, cool. I'm just going to pop his shoe down over there. Ace. And I'm going to just go back over the helmet here, because I've got a tiny amount of varnish left in there, and I want to kind of use that up before I just clean the inside of the paint chamber out very quickly. So just these smaller pieces here where I could just get a little bit out. Yeah. I'll go to the shoulder pads next as well, I think. Mike says, I also have a 1/35 scale Missouri battleship model to get around to finishing. Oh, not a 135, a 1/350 scale Missouri battleship model to get around to finishing to, made by Tamiya, that comes in about a 1 meter box as well. Not sure where I can put it that it won't get destroyed faster than HMS Hood. Are you talking about like having children and pets, etc.? Yeah, the scourge of any miniature collector. I have pets but not children. So yes, that's one of the reasons why Dax and Binker aren't really allowed in here. Some people in the comment section could tell you that Binker, especially Girl Cat, she's terrible for going, oh, that's a nice little collection of model tanks you've got over there. Shame if someone wants to come over and eat them and run away with them. She can't help herself. She'll go over to your box where you're storing all your little 15mm models, if you're playing in my games evening, and then she'll like bite one, pick it up, and run away with it. Everyone who comes over for my games nights now are quite well versed in the please protect your models from my cats routine. Apologies to anyone who gets caught out short by it, but keep an eye on your models. There's a really nice finish on this helmet here. I'm really happy with that. I hope the camera picks it up well. Not so well on my monitor. Looking good though. I like it. We are about 10 minutes away from the end of the show. A wild ride this evening. As you may be able to tell, I am just utterly exhausted. But it's just always nice to get together and paint stuff together, isn't it? So that's why we're here, right? Adrian says, I have no idea how much I have left, but I estimate that I might have about 1/4 to 1/3 of the way through. Okay, cool. Good start though. If that's where you are through your productivity for the year, that's good. I know I have them Terminators to assemble and paint as well as at least 20 Guardsmen. Terminators are fun to paint though, aren't they? I like painting Terminators. That sounds like the end of my varnish. Just a little bit left in there. It's gone a long way actually. There it is. We're at the end. Cool. So I'll very quickly just take the nozzle protector off. All I've got is a bit of cleaner. Stick it on the end of a cotton bud. Just a couple of drops. What I like to do is just on the side of the needle, I just like to rotate in the direction of the needle. Just taking up any build up, and being varnished is very hard to see. And then I just retract the needle, which is why I need it to be empty in the paint chamber. And then I can actually clean the end over here without damaging the needle tip itself. Lovely. Needle cap back on. Right, I'm going to get a bit more varnish because I've still got a few more minutes, and I'm going to be here for a little bit in the evening, just a little while, not very long, just a few more drops of that then, just to give all these pieces here their worthy second coat, because I'm halfway through it, and I'll finish off that leg as well. Yeah, there we go, that's done the job. So hard to see where I've actually sprayed this stuff. It's really quite tricksy. Give that a bit of air, agitate that to try and dry it a little bit. There we go. Do you know what? Back to this leg here. Here we go. So just the bottom end now, from about that line down, or up now, I suppose. Actually ran out of it there. Get a bit more in there. That's better. Rightio. Just a couple more pieces to go then. This whole leg could do with a second go. Starting to get some droplets of the varnish there, which means I think I need to clean the airbrush out again. But for now, that's okay. That'll be alright like that. It will dry super matte, you won't see any issues. Wonderful. Pop that over here. And one more thing, here we are. Back to the torso, which is where it all started. Just realised I've not been in shot for a little while there, so sorry. Thanks for the stream, says Shiv. Keeping up with the timetable there, mate, aren't you? Thank you very much. You're absolutely welcome. I don't really feel that it's been of much value today, but I just kind of wanted to make sure that people had the space that they're used to keep their painting hobby going. I know I benefit from it, so therefore others must benefit from it too. So yeah, I am absolutely zonked. I am shattered. I haven't been this tired for a while. My eye is literally closing like I've got conjunctivitis, and I don't have conjunctivitis, so I'm just incredibly tired. I just was really looking forward to coming into the studio. It's really important to get yourself some me time, isn't it, doing what you want to do, so you're absolutely welcome. I also just like to keep up appearances, you know. And hopefully it's been of value to you as well. The torso is the piece I think I'm going to be holding most when I start to push him all back together again. So making sure he's got plenty of varnish on him to keep him as protected as possible. Probably going to put a third and a fourth coat on them, but the next two coats are going to come tomorrow because, like the bottle says, 24 hours between each layer. And I know I've done two like back to back, but I'm going to leave a good distance of time between these two so that there's a good protective layer on there. And of course there were the pieces that I did the cleanup on earlier on, so the two arms and the space pants, they are going to have to be done tomorrow because they are still drying. So they've still got a spirit cleaner on them, like odorless thinner, and they do leave water marks or tide marks if you like, where it's still evaporating, and that'll take a little bit of time to disappear. So I don't want to like spray varnish over it to stop it from evaporating properly and leave those marks on there. That is not what I want. I've just got the tiniest little bit of varnish left in the paint chamber. I just can't seem to get through it quick enough, so I've gone back to the shoulder pads in the helmet just to wisely use the last of the varnish up in them. Here we go. Getting close now, because it is absolutely time to finish up. We are done. Lovely. Let's come away from here to a silly place. So I've noticed that during most of this stream, it has been my camera placement hasn't been ideal. Like, it's very, very far forwards, which means I'm having to paint all the way over here. It's quite difficult. So you can see what it is that I'm up to. My lights are all a little bit weird. The camera's still too high, and I haven't had the time to really sort that out. I raised the camera knowing that I was painting with a big miniature. But actually my old framing was probably just as fine, so I'm going to have to reset all of this. I apologise for that. I apologise for my failure of a microphone. I think I'm going to have to stop using it, which is a shame, because I like it. This is just a little bit tinny, isn't it? But, it's much more reliable. So, some things that haven't worked out so well, but haven't been a massive problem. I am shattered, so I feel the necessity to apologise for that, as well as pouring most of my drink down my front live on stream, burping and hiccuping. Yeah, I'm just so tired. I hope you guys have had a good evening, though. I hope you got some painting. Emma is joined in just at the end there. Hi, Emma. Hi. Nice to see you. Thanks for saying hello, even if it's right at the end of the day. Thanks for coming along and joining me on a much later schedule today. Thank you for working in and around my timings at work. Is obviously the custom for YouTubers and shows to just kind of try to keep a constant thing going. But I got back at, well, I was ready. I sat down to have my dinner at 6:45, so I would not have been ready for 7 o'clock. I'm glad I did it this way, and I'm really grateful that you guys came along as well. Adrian says, photos for tonight have gone up on the old Book of Face. Thanks very much, mate. Really appreciate that. I'd love to see what you guys are up to. That's enough for me. I'm going to hang out on Discord very quickly, just so I can clean my airbrush and say hello to you guys, for those of you that want to come along. So don't forget, we're not just here on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram and Discord. You can join me at the end of most shows, and the guys in the live chat, and anybody else as well who wants to. Just go and have a little chit chat with the people in the Easy 8 after party on Discord itself. Links to all of our platforms and a host of other places, cool places to go see, are all downstairs down there in the description of this video, so go and check them out because they're cool, and there's absolutely the time to go and do that if you're not as tired as I am right now. So yes, please take photos, stick them up on our platforms. If you like what we do, please do consider subscribing to the show. You are the community, you are the show, and we get bigger and better the more of us there are. So share. If you know someone who you think might benefit from the show, bring them along and get them to subscribe as well. And if you get me to 250 subscribers, I will both bring my cats into the studio and I'll clean my palette for you, because that seems to annoy some of you. So sorry about that. Anyway, that's enough for me tonight. I really need to go to bed. I've still got to do the dishes. Oh. I'll see you over in Discord in a minute. Do you know what? Until next week, guys, stay safe, be kind, keep on painting, get some colour on your grey. I'll see you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye. I think I'm going mental. I think if I go to sleep, I might just stay asleep for all ever and ever and ever.